Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review on an action film from USA, English language, released in the year 2011, directed by Patrick Lussier, and this movie is called Drive Angry. And the story to Drive Angry is as follows. In the high-octane action-adventure Drive Angry, Nicolas Cage stars as Milton, an undead felon who breaks out of hell to avenge his murdered daughter and rescue her kidnapped baby from a band of cult-worshipping savages. Joined by tough-as-nails Piper, the two set off on a rampage of redemption, all the while being pursued by an enigmatic killer who has been sent by the devil to retrieve Milton and deliver him back to hell. So Milton is the main character, played by Nicolas Cage. He's been condemned to hell, and his daughter and granddaughter have been left behind. So the daughter ends up being part of a cult, and one night the cult leader brutally murders Milton's daughter and takes the baby captive and has gone on the run. So Milton breaks free from hell in order to try and track down his baby granddaughter and at the same time avenge his daughter's death. But things are going to get very hard for Milton because the devil has sent a bounty hunter known as the Accountant to basically retrieve Milton and bring him back. So Milton is in a race against time to save the baby and also stay out of the clutches of the Accountant. He is helped by Amber Heard's character named Piper. So they accompany each other on a cross-country rampage of violence, and whether or not Milton can get the baby in time, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I am going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on the movie. I really wasn't expecting too much with this one, but yet I was still very disappointed. Now, the reason I was disappointed is that the first half was really good, and the second half was just really, really anticlimactic. Now, the first half, it had a very exploitation feel, so if you're a fan of exploitation films, in the fact that it's very unapologetic, it's very rude, you're going to like this one. It really reminded me of Hobo with a Shotgun, not in the fact that it's the same story, or, it's not nearly as good as Hobo with a Shotgun, but it had that same surreal atmosphere and a very provocative atmosphere that it shows hard violence, and it's a step above the PG-13 normality that is Hollywood these days. A lot of action films seem to be PG-13 to appeal to a wider audience. So it's all about money, it's not really about the love of film. Whereas this movie really is about the love of film, because it sets itself apart from the rest, because it is very high impact violence, very gratuitous sex scenes, nudity, and a very sleazy atmosphere that the first half actually created. So I really respected that, and I really got into it because it was something a little bit different from what Hollywood has been churning out lately. So the actors, it's a very visual film. You don't have any depth to it, and that's exactly what you see is what you get. It doesn't promise to be anything different. It's a movie that you can leave your brain at the door, get a bit of popcorn, enjoy with a few friends. As I said, it's very visual, and visually it is a very impressive film. You've got cinematography, which is very bright colouring, a lot of explosions, some CGI violence, but I was really surprised by that violence because it actually looked pretty good. So the CGI was used to good effect in the first half. Later on in the film it gets a bit silly, but the violence at the start really hits you hard, and it sets the standard for the rest of the movie. And unfortunately for me, I felt that standard that it sets so early really can't be matched. Therefore, it's just going to go downhill from that point on. Now, the acting, Nicolas Cage plays Milton. I don't really like Nicolas Cage, although he doesn't do a great job in his role. It doesn't require him to do a great job, so he got away with it. I just feel that Nicolas Cage, there's something about him. He's got the same personality. It just feels like the personality of a brick wall. He's got no emotion, and it just really, I'm not a big fan of his. I know a few people are, so each to their own, but I just felt someone with a little bit more attitude and personality and a little bit more of a likable quality for you to really support the guy, I thought would have been a bit better. But as I said, it doesn't rely on that, so Nicolas Cage, he does an okay job. Amber Heard was good to look at. I thought she was the more colourful sort of person out of the two of them, so I guess that kind of makes up for that. But as far as eye candy is concerned, Amber Heard is there for that. So a lot of younger audience members might get more out of that than I did, but she is a very beautiful person. But the best character of the film was William Fichtner, who played the accountant. I thought he was the comedy relief. He's a very ruthless character. He's a very good actor. I really liked him in Prison Break Season 2, where he plays the FBI agent on the trail of the escaped convicts. I just think he has something about him that makes him a good villain. He had a lot of charisma. He had some one-liners that made me laugh, and the way he dispatched his victims was very brutal. So he did match what you would think someone sent by the devil would be like. So I actually thought he was the best character, and thankfully there is a lot more of him than what he sets the standard at the start, and he's always there. So that was really good, and I liked that aspect of it as well. And the acting from the other characters, as I said, very exaggerated characters. So it sets you in a different sort of dimension, and it's more of a comic book rather than real life. So that's the type of film that you're going to get yourself in for. So My problem is, as I said, the first half sets a standard of exploitation, sleazy, very fun. But then the second half kind of feels like the director lost having fun, and it was more of a chore rather than, the love of film. So what I mean is by that is that it's not as sleazy, it's not as violent. Yes, there are still shootouts, but it just didn't have the high impact that the first half had. It's not as funny, and it just feels like it's meandering along. And as I said, it sets itself a high standard too early, in my opinion. And that's what really hurt the film, because it feels like it's 100 minutes long, but it felt like the director only had an hour material, and he's kind of dragged it out as much as possible with some mindless explosions and shootouts. And because it's not as creative in the second half, it comes across as a little bit boring. And it gets more ridiculous as it goes along. Yes, the movie is supposed to be ridiculous, but the way it finishes with the CGI was just really, really silly. And I thought the second half really, really lets it down. It's a very big disappointment because the film should have been so much better than it actually was. So it feels like the director, he lost all motivation for the second half. He didn't know what direction and what to do with the film, how to tie up all the loose ends, and as a result of that, it becomes a big mess. And considering the first half, that is what is so disappointing about it, because it is a movie with a lot of positives, and that is the reason why I'd still recommend this film, at least for a rental. But it really should have been memorable. But unfortunately, as a result of poor finishing, it finishes up as very forgettable. So all in all, I was disappointed, and I'm only going to give this one 2 stars. Alright guys, it's my review for the American action film Drive Angry. It was better than I expected, but still it should have been a hell of a lot better than it actually was, and how it actually finished. So that's all. Until next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.